Sitaram, everyone. Welcome to the online Sunday morning satsang of the America Sevashram Sangha. Let us pray. Mangalam Bhagavan Vishnu, Mangalam Gadudvaja, Mangalam Pundarikaksho, Mangalaya Tano Hari. I've chosen as my topic this morning the trials of Bhakta Dhruva. And as we delve into this katha, you will understand why I have chosen this particular topic. Dhruva was a young prince, perhaps 5 years old or so. And one day he went to sit on the lap of his father, King Uttanpad. His stepmother was present with the king, and she cruelly pushed him away from the king's lap and uttered harsh words. She said, "If you want to sit on the king's lap, pray to Lord Vishnu to be born as my son in your next birth. Then you will be able to sit on the king's lap." Dhruva was deeply hurt. One writer, Lyman Abbott, said of a child is a beam of sunlight from the infinite and eternal, with possibilities of virtue and vice, but as yet unstained. Jess Lear said, "Children are not things to be molded, but are people to be unfolded." The king sat there and said nothing whilst his son was being so cruelly treated by his stepmother. A father should not be like that. A father should be fair to his children and protect them from all such cruel treatments. Because our children are our future. They are innocent and forgiving, but they can be easily hurt. We need to treat them with love and understanding. Psychologists tell us that if a child is treated with love at home, that child, when he goes or she goes into society, especially as the child grows up, will spread that love and kindness to others. On the other hand, a child who grows up in a cruel home usually spreads that cruelty to society when he or she grows up. Some time ago, I saw on the television that there was a custody trial going on between a father and a mother. The mother had separated from the father and she had remarried. Unfortunately, the judge gave custody to the mother, who had to be hospitalized soon after. And so the young child, he was just 2 years old, had to go and spend the time with the stepfather. The child was screaming. And when someone asked the child, "Does he treat you nice?" the child shook his head no. But still the judge decided to send that child with the stepfather. And the next day, the child was found dead, most likely as a result of bad treatment, cruel treatment, blows from the stepfather. So Dhruva was deeply hurt. He went back to his own mother, Suniti, and she saw that her son was very sad. "Why are you sad, my son?" his mother asked. Dhruva said, "Ma, who is Lord Vishnu? Where can I find Lord Vishnu?" His mother said, "My child, Lord Vishnu is God. And to find him, one has to do tapasya. One has to go into the forest and practice hard tapasya." Dhruva made up his mind that very night that he was going to leave home, leave the palace, and go in search of Lord Vishnu. He wanted to ask the Lord why such injustice prevailed in the world, why people were so cruel. So that night, while his mother slept, Dhruva quietly crept out of his bed. He prayed, "O Lord, wherever you stay, I'll find you. But please take care of my mother. Don't let her cry." Dhruva loved his mother Suniti very much, but the pain inflicted on his little heart by his cruel stepmother was too much. His determination to find God, to get answers, was great. How brave he was. He went all alone in the middle of the night to the dangerous jungle. Even children can possess great determination. Dhruva was going to seek God. He was not waiting for God to come to him. And this is so striking because in many of our lives, we wait on God to come to us. But here this little child was going to find God, going to search for God. A little child, 5 years old, and more so a prince, going out in search of God. Amazing. But this is what is necessary if we are to find God. Guha, in Ayodhya Kand of Ramcharitmanas, we are told, "Yah sudi guha nisha jabapai, murita liye priya bandhu bulai, liye palamool beta bhari bhara, milan chaleohya harasa apara." Guha also, when Sri Ram went into the forest when he was in exile, there were many hermits. They were waiting in their hermitages, hoping, expecting Sri Ram to come to their ashrams and bless them. He hardly went to any one of those ashrams. But when Guha, who was an untouchable in the eyes of the world, when he heard the Lord was in the forest, he and his friends went in search of Sri Ram. And whatever little he had, they only had vegetables and fruits. He took that with him. And he offered those to the Lord and bowed to the holy feet and got a darshan of Sri Ram. So, Dhruva is showing us that in the divine quest, we have to be proactive. We have to go in search of God. Our Guru Maharaj, Swami Pranavanandaji Maharaj, the founder of Bharat Sevashram Sangha, as a little child, he showed us the same thing. He would go in the cremation grounds at night, and there he will meditate almost the whole night on God and on the impermanence of life. Even at home, he will practice solitude. There was a thatched building near his father's home, a building owned by his father also, where he would sit and meditate on God for hours every day, many hours every day. So this is a proactive way and a great way of seeking God, going in search of God, not waiting for God to come to us. So Dhruva went out. That very night he left home when his mother was asleep, and he went out in search of the Lord. He was alone in the forest, and unfortunately he encountered a band of evil robbers. Naively thinking they were forest dwellers, that these were people who lived in the forest, he asked them, "Can you show me Lord Vishnu? I want to meet Lord Vishnu." And they said, "Yes, we will show you Lord Vishnu." What they did, they took away his jewelry. He was still wearing his royal jewelry. Took away his clothing and heartlessly pushed him over a cliff. The spiritual path is filled with many trials. It is sometimes called the razor's edge path. Whenever we decide to seek God, all kinds of troubles will come in our path. And for that reason, people question whether God indeed exists, or if he does, whether he has a heart. Especially at this time when we're afflicted with this pandemic, people ask the same question: if there is a God, why is all this is happening? In Lankakand of the Ramcharitmanas, Tusidas writes, "Deka sailana aushara chinha sahasa kapi upari girilinha gahi giri nisina badhavat bayu avar puri upar kapi gayu." Hanuman was doing God's work. He went to the Himalayas to get a Sajivan Muri to bring back Lakshman to life. When he couldn't find it, he was flying with the mountain over Ayodhya on his way to Lanka when Bharat shot him down. Bharat shot a blunt-headed arrow at Hanuman, not knowing whom Hanuman was. And Hanuman fell to the ground unconscious. Why do bad things happen to good people? One master wrote these words: "He'll test your strength to make you strong, for what's not used grows weak, and strip you of what pulls you from the highest goal you seek." Bad things do not happen because we do good. It is the fruits of bad karma ripening faster so that we can be free of them. Unfortunately, there is something called world karma. And we all pay for the misdeeds of evil ones, even if we're good, because we're all in this world together. The law of karma, the law of world karma says that we all have to share the fruits of evil actions. And that is why in the spiritual path, even though we suffer, it is for a good cause, because those evil karmas are being removed from our path and hastening our spiritual evolution. Our attitude should be. One saint wrote, faced with many trials, he wrote, "The more thou dost try me, Lord, the more will I call for thy help alone. As defeats will pursue me, I will swifter race to thee. The more worries beat me, the deeper will I cry for thee." That these trials and hardships that we face shall drive us nearer to God. The more Divine Mother beats us, the more we should grab onto her skirt. You see, little baby or little child, when mother pulls out the whip, the baby grabs the skirt of the mother. And what does the mother do? She drops the stick and embraces, lifts up that child and embraces that child. When God beats us, we should hold on with more tenacity to his lotus feet. So Dhruva, even though he was on a worthwhile quest to find God, look what happened to him. He was robbed and pushed over a cliff. Normally, he would have died. But God takes care of his devotees. Dhruva was miraculously saved. A devotee of God might bend, but can never be broken. One who has absolute faith in God. Remember Prahlad, he too was thrown over a cliff by the soldiers of his father's army, but he was saved. An elephant was brought to trample him, but turned back and ran away when instead it saw, instead of a little boy, helpless little boy, it saw a lion in front of it. He was thrown into a cauldron of hot oil. Normally a person will fry in hot oil, especially a little child, but the oil had no effect on him. Holika, who had a boon that fire could not burn her, placed Prahlad in her lap and sat in fire, but she was consumed by the flames, whereas Prahlad was untouched. Yes, we will face difficulties and hardships, but God will not allow us to be destroyed if we stay faithful. Of these robbers who had heartlessly robbed Dhruva, they all died from the venomous bites of snakes. The law of karma is very exacting, especially when evil is done to good people. That law or the fruits ripen very quickly, and we see almost instantly the karma bore fruit for these evil robbers. They were all killed. I remember many years ago being told a story of an old man who used to bring milk to the ashram at Kovanjon. One day, as he brought the milk in the morning, he was sobbing. He was crying. And when he was asked why are you crying? Is everything okay? Blood was leaking from his head. He said, "My son hit me on the head. My own son, whom I took care of, whom I cared so much from baby until he became an adult, he hit me, his father, on my head, and the blood is coming out. I'm not so much pained by the physical wound, but by the mental wound in my heart that my own son hit me." And he continued to sob. And after a while, he said, "But you know what? When I was younger, I hit my own father too." The law of karma is very exacting. So we see that instantly these robbers were killed. because of their heinous acts that they committed against this young boy. Dhruva met sage Narad, who told him that the spiritual path was difficult even for grown men, much more so for a little child. In the spiritual path, there are many tests to see if we are sincere in our quest for God. Narad appeared to that little child and said, "My boy, where are you going so late in the night? You're Prince Dhruva. Why are you here? You should be in the palace." Dhruva said, "O Holy One, I want to see Lord Vishnu. I want to find Lord Vishnu." So to test him, Narad said, "Go back home, child. You're just a young boy. Grown men have tried to find Lord Vishnu, but they can't. It's not easy to see Lord Vishnu. It's not easy to meet Lord Vishnu. How can you, a little child, do what grown men couldn't do? Go back home." But Dhruva was adamant that he would not return home until he found God. The strong determination is necessary for success in the spiritual path. We see that determination in the life of our Guru Maharaj. That for hours every day, even when the final realization of God was not coming in spite of strenuous spiritual efforts, he redoubled his efforts to such a point that he took a vow that he will never sleep again until he attained the final realization of God. And he did just that. For 1 month, he sat in the same asana, lost in samadhi, until the final realization was his. So there must be strong determination for success in this spiritual path. Narad, impressed by the child's determination, instructed him in the secrets of spiritual life, the secrets of japa, of chanting God's name, and initiated him into the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dhruva sat right there in the forest and he started to chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Time went by, but a young boy will not get up from that spot. The name of God is very powerful. Valmiki knew the power of God's name as Ratnakar, even in reverse, because he couldn't say Rama due to his evil actions. He said Mara, but he was bent on changing his life, and that Mara became Rama, and he was transformed from Ratnakar to Valmiki, from a devil, from an evil man to a great saint. The name of God has tremendous power. And Dhruva was chanting God's name. Rain fell on his little body. Sometimes during the day, the hot sun burnt his skin. The wind sometimes howled fiercely past him. Wild animals howled terribly nearby, threatening his very life. But Dhruva will not get up from that spot where he sat. Dhruva chanted for a long period of time. But his body, even though was becoming like a skeleton, God was not coming. In Balkand of Ramcharitmanas, Tulsidas writes, "Aiseo Prabhu sevaka basa ahi bhagata hetu lila tanugahai जो यह बचन सत्य श्रुति भाषा तो हमारा पूजी ही अभिलाषा. Manu and Satrupa, when they were doing penance as well, even though they were practicing for a long, long time, God was not coming. They felt discouraged. But then they said to themselves, even such a mighty Lord is subordinate to the will of his devotees. If this be true, no matter how long it takes, he must finally come to us. We must persevere when we face periods of spiritual dryness like this, when God seems not to be responding. Dhruva was doing penance after penance. He took a vow not even to drink water. He was not eating, and now he decided to stop drinking water and to go on a complete fast until God came to him. Remember Parvati's penance? Dhruva's penance was very similar to her. She was a young princess. And even though she was practicing sadhana in the forest all alone to Lord Shiva, and her body became like a skeleton, still it seemed Lord Shiva was not coming to her. One day, his lips became so parched in the hot sun. He was tempted to take water from the kamandalu to drink. As he lifted the kamandalu to his lips, he remembered his promise that I will not drink even water until God comes. And he threw the kamandalu to the ground, and he sat in deeper meditation. He attained the breathless state. As he achieved that breathless state of samadhi, he beheld the Lord in his heart. And when he opened his eyes, he saw Lord Vishnu in front of him. The Lord was so loving. The Lord took Dhruva and placed him to sit in his lap. Remember, Dhruva could not sit in his father's lap. But now God is placing Dhruva to sit on his own lap. Lovingly, he caressed the hair of Dhruva, and the Lord said, "My child, I'm highly pleased with you. Ask me for anything, and I'll grant your wish." Dhruva's eyes were closed in bliss. He answered, "Lord, what do I need? What else do I need now that I have you, Lord? I don't want anything. I only want to be lost in your bliss." Remember, Dhruva wanted to ask the Lord, why so much injustice in this world? Why he couldn't sit on his father's lap? But now, filled with the bliss of God in God's presence, he said, "Lord, I want nothing." All his questions were answered instantly within himself in God's presence. "Lord, all I want is to be in your bliss, to love you, to be always in the thought of you." The Lord blessed him. "Evamastu, so be it, my child." But not only would you be able to sit on your father's lap without your stepmother's cruelty, but you will become the next king, O Dhruva. And you will rule for many, many years. You would only leave this world when you wish to. And when you decide to leave this world, you will come to my abode. You will be a pole star to mankind. The pole star, long ago before you had GPS, the pole star used to be called Dhruva Nakshatra. And through the pole star, sailors at sea used to be guided to their destinations. In the same way, In the spiritual path, Dhruva is like a pole star to all sadhakas, to all yogis intent on finding God. Dhruva is like a pole star. We see his determination in finding God. He will not return home until he found God. We see his determination in sadhana. No matter how unfavorable were the conditions, he stuck to his sadhana. He will not give up. His body became like a skeleton. He will not give up. When God sees this in a devotee, God responds. When God sees that determination, that unbreakable will to find him, God responds. Many years ago, I heard one spiritual man make a statement which has remained with me up to this day because it's so striking. What did he say? He said, "Seek the giver, not his gifts." Seek the giver, not his gifts. Why? Because we might have the gifts of God, but we do not have him. But once we have him, we have all the gifts. We have everything we can ever desire, crave for, hope for. We have all of that at once. It's not easy to find God. It's not easy to convince God of our love for him. But once we can do so, then we have everything we will ever need when we have God. We will be satisfied for eternity. Dear ones, as we face this terrible pandemic that is sweeping the world and bringing so much sadness and sorrow in the lives of so many. Just recently we've lost so many, quite a few of our devotees, especially the elder ones. So much sorrow to their families, and what is worse, one cannot even hold a proper funeral or a proper wake. So many people are dying every day in New York State. Nearly 1,000 people every day. It's gone down a little bit to about 600, I heard this morning, but still that's a lot. How many people are dying in the country? How many people are dying in the world? It's so sad. But it is at times like this that our faith in God is being tested. And if we hold on to God no matter what, as Dhruva did, in the end, the hand of God must touch us. One saint said, before Divine Mother places her hand on our heads, first the shadow of the hand comes before the hand itself. Shadow of the hand symbolizing darkness in our lives, hardships, difficulties. Those will come, but if we persevere, then finally the hand of the Divine Mother will be placed on our heads in blessings. I would like to end with a quote that former President Obama, you will think he was a spiritual man speaking indeed. Perhaps he was, but you will think he was a yogi. These were the words he uttered when America had another tragedy, but they are still relevant today as they were so many years ago. And I quote his words, "And if there is anything to take away from this tragedy, is the reminder that life is very fragile. Our time here is very limited, and it is precious. And what matters at the end of the day is not the small things. It's not the trivial things which so often consume us in our daily lives. Ultimately, it's how we choose to treat one another and how we love one another. It's what we do on a daily basis to give our lives meaning and to give our lives purpose. That's what matters. At the end of the day, what we'll remember will be those we loved and what we did for others. That's why we're here. Dear ones, I know life is very hard right now. Do your best. Let us do our best. What we cannot control, let us leave in the hands of the Lord. Let our faith in God be strong. Surely, the Lord will intervene and help us. That is our faith. That is our expectation. And if we stay the course, God will not disappoint us. Ramcharitmanas says, Jasu naam bhava besaj harana gor trayasu so kripal mohito hi par sadaraho anukul. May that gracious Lord, whose name is an unfailing remedy for the ills of rebirth and a remover of pain, ever remain propitious to us all. That is what I pray for all of us. Om Shanti, 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 Hari Om. I would just like to thank Bhaiji Vijay Bisram, who is doing the live Facebook streaming. Always so faithful and dedicated. Always here at the ashram to serve God and Guru. Thank you, Vijay. And also I would like to thank Bhaiji Nikki and his Dharmapatni Bahin Priya and Auntie Nanda for also being present and for being in the kitchen to make sure that everyone has a hot meal. Thank you all so much. God bless. We'll meet again for online satsang next Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning. See you then. God bless all of you.